All right. New information about Malcolm Jamal Warner's death. Okay. Peace be upon him. Um, Now, I specifically asked, which just came, this did come out, but I specifically asked, was this going to be exposed? Was um, the truth about his, you know, unaliving going to be exposed? And it showed a lot in the other reading. It showed in this short one here. Um, the truth is going to come out. The Ace of Swords came out with the Six of Swords, with the Queen of Swords. Okay. The Page of Wands with the Chariot and the Fool. So there is some communication. The Page of Wands. There's some communication that's going to come out. This Fool is giving me clarity. Coming clean. This Chariot is giving me some type of official police. Actually, the Chariot is giving me police. So maybe the Costa Rican police is going to communicate something with this Page of Wands. It's going to make something public, clearing the air about the truth behind some things, because we know we've been getting a lot of different stories that don't even make no sense, right? But they took him somewhere with this Six of Swords. He was taken somewhere. He was injured. I can't remember all of the cards that came out, but the Nine of Wands did come out. The Nine of Wands did come out with, so he was injured. He was badly injured. And they carried him across the waters on a boat. Okay. Someone carried him. In the Six of Swords card is a feminine that's rowing this boat. Okay. But the Six of Swords came out to clarify the Six of Wands. So this most definitely is a cover-up. This most definitely is deception. There were, with the two swords stuck in the ground and planted in the ground as like blocking something, this was most definitely a cover-up. Okay, which we know that. The Magician here and this Queen of Swords. So this, and then the Emperor came out again with, and then the Devil clarified the Emperor. Okay, the Emperor came out a lot in the other readings. So this is giving me the industry. Okay, there was a head nigga in charge that was calling the shots and, uh, putting the orders out there with this magician. Okay. But I did say in the other reading, the Three of Wands was showing up too. Three of Wands, I think, showed up here in shuffling or whatever. So that was this Emperor, this community of covens, um, waiting on his body to be delivered, waiting on him for them to bring him in um, off this boat. Okay. But there is this, it looks like there is going to be righteous justice for this. I do feel that there is some spiritual guides that is most definitely working in spirit. Okay, as above, so below, as below, so as below, so above. That is working this thing out here. Okay, so whenever the spiritual realm is involved, it's inevitable. It's just inevitable. So this is going to be cleared up. This is going to be judgment. Judgment came out with this as well. Okay. The judgment card with the justice actually came out with this. But the Hierophant card came out, the Queen of Swords came out, the Emperor came out, the Hierophant, that probably is the the Santinist group that's involved here. Okay, a bunch of politicians and so forth involved in this Coven group, and it does look like the Emperor with the Devil. That this is industry energy right here. Okay, the Emperor is a authority. Okay, control. The Emperor is CEO energy, boss energy. hmm And, ooh, wow. Okay, I'm looking at this too. This is also Saturn in Aries, because what I found out was that either he arrived in Costa Rica on July 13th or he was leaving on July 13th. Wasn't clear about that, but July 13th is significant, and I believe that is the day that Saturn went retrograded into Aries. Okay. Saturn is dealing with contracts. The devil deals with contracts too. So maybe he wanted to also be released from the corrupt contract, the strongholds that the industry had over him, and wouldn't release him. So most definitely he knew about this Coven. Um, so yeah, this Emperor and Devil energy is most definitely the contract that he was in with the industry. Okay, that is clear cut right there. And then with the Ace of Wands, that was at the bottom of the deck, this Emperor, like I say, he was the one calling the shots. Okay. Um, so what I found out, and I don't even know, I've never even heard of this channel, but Paperwork Party. I came across a channel, Paperwork Party, and he actually disclosed his wife's name in a picture of her, Tanisha Hancock, known as Tanisha Torres on Law and Order. Okay, he pulled up a case that they had back in 2018 from an incident that happened in 2017 during the birth of their baby. Okay, the case number is B as in boy, C as in cat, 717370 in Los Angeles, California. Her name is Tanisha Delilah Hancock, and she has an alias name, Tanisha Torres. Okay, she's an actress in Law and Order. Okay, now this lawsuit is against the Huntington Memorial Hospital for medical negligence, is what they was claiming, and loss of consortium. Okay, and this was, they were claiming this medical negligence happened during, I guess, her hospital stay between May 12th and May 23rd of 2017, pertaining to the birth of their child. So she was having some complications and, so forth. Okay. Also, it also disclosed that they were in a common law partnership. Okay. So they weren't married. They didn't have state papers. They was married under common law. Okay. And they have been married for several years. Okay, so they were married for several years before 2017. And so, yeah, it's just a lot of misinformation going on here too as well. So they did meet when Malcolm Jamal Warner was the age of 45, so that was in 2015. Okay. And then something came up about a Dr. Tanisha Hancock with the same spelling of her name, being having a license as a rehabilitation practitioner in Sherman Oaks, California. Okay, as a physiatrist. Okay, now physiatrist is a medical doctor specializing in physical medicine and rehabilitation. The focus is on restoring physical function and improving the quality of life of individuals affected by pain, injuries, and disabling conditions. Treat conditions affecting the brain, spinal cord, nerves, bones, joints, ligaments, muscles, and tendons. They develop comprehensive treatment plans that may include physical therapy, medication management, and minimally invasive procedures. Okay, they specialize in areas like sports medicine, pain medicine, spinal cord injury, or traumatic brain injury. I used to work at a rehabilitation center some years ago, several years ago. But I'm picking up rehabilitation. So he most definitely was drugged. So he was given something I'm picking up to, this is all alleged, right? To immobilize him. And that was why probably this female, this feminine energy was able to travel with him on the boat because he was injured and he also was drugged. That's what I'm getting. Okay. So they were saying that the wife was there, then the wife wasn't there, then the wife traveled to or from Costa Rica. It's like, okay, people, it's ridiculous. So he was, like I say, and he was there 8 to 9 days before his unaliving. July 13th, 2025 was a 29, which that is an 11. Like I said, it was a lot of portals open during that that week. Okay, so I'm gonna, do this last, and then I'm going to let this rest and allow, Malcolm J. Warner's spirit to rest in peace, which I know he won't rest until this is, resolved. Um, I asked what the current mental state of his wife was, and the justice with the Ace of Pentacles came out. So her mental state is, and like I say, this is alleged, uh, is getting off, getting away with this, and getting protection. So she using that money to pay people out, the judicial system. Okay, so she paid off. I did see the Six of Pentacles. She paid off. She's paid off or offered to pay the judicial system, okay, to let her get away with the Six of Swords and to protect her, the Seven of Wands, okay, because the truth is out with the Sun, the Ace of Swords, and the Page of Wands. So now I guess this is her trying to, basically just protect her ass and stay in the shadows because apparently she had been in the shadows, okay, throughout the marriage because of the privacy and protection that her husband, Malcolm Jamal Warner, was doing, protecting his family. Okay, but she still want to have that type of privilege um, with the dirt here that was done to her husband. But it's not going. No, it's not going to happen. Okay. Um, So this is either her offering and they accept it. Okay. But there may be some type of private, independent investigations that is going to be looking into this or that is already looking into this. Um, so I don't know. We just let this unfold how it's going to unfold because it most definitely is. And that's it for me. I'm not going to, that's it for me. You know, um, I'm going to let this rest here. And most definitely, I know that all involved will most definitely be exposed. The cards disclose that, okay, too many times, repeatedly. So, most definitely, indeed. And these people are basically telling on themselves too, because if they're saying one thing, they redacting that and then saying something. So they're telling on themselves. Okay, they're telling on themselves because where truth has been violated, balance must be restored. This is cosmic law, so that's what it is. Okay, so with that being said, comes out this energy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I took a pause to clear out the energy. So as I was shuffling, clearing the tarot cards, I have no intentions on pulling right now. I'm just going to pull from the cardology, but when I look up, the Eight of Wands is here. Okay. And what made me notice it is because reaching over, I knocked it over, and the Hierophant exposed itself. So the Hierophant and the Eight of Wands. So it's some communication coming in from a Hierophant energy. This could be some form of government, so-called government entity coming in with communication. This is fast communication about a contract, about a partnership, about an offer. Ace of Pentacles here, and then Justice is behind that. So something is being balanced out with Justice and the Two of Cups as well, and that is also giving me contract. At the bottom of the deck is the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so something most definitely is being settled. Okay, this is a settling of accounts. Something is being balanced out within the judicial system, looks like. Okay, so I just wanted to share that. And that's interesting because I'm going to read from the How White Folks Got So Rich. And the actually the chapter that I'm going to read is titled Inheritance. So that's interesting, right? So pulling from a card, getting a card, excuse me, from cardology. Let's see what it wants to communicate to us. Ooh. Wow. At the bottom of the deck here is the Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So I'm going to leave that out. And then at the top of the deck is the Queen of Hearts. Okay. So the Ace of Diamonds and the Queen of Hearts. This is interesting. Wow. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, divine guides. Mm. Mm. So the Ace of Diamonds, all aces represents new beginnings, okay, and desire for something that starts a new cycle of creating. Aces are the representatives of pure creative energy. Diamonds represent our value systems, okay, the things that we like or dislike, treasure or discard. Okay, so the Ace of Diamonds means that we experience the birth of a new value or that we suddenly like or want something that we didn't before. Okay, so reading from How White Folks Got So Rich, the Untold Story of American White Supremacy, on page 113. Inheritance. Okay, so 113, that's a 5. So a change. Okay. And this change is coming in really fast. Maybe that's why I see this 8 of Wands. Okay. Inheritance. The greatest example of undeserved, unmerited enrichment is that which white people rely on most for their vast 20 to 1 wealth advantage, inheritance. And it is here where, where talk of working hard, quote, okay, of bootstraps, quote, and of, quote, merit, uh, meritocracy, mm, is shown to be a spectacular deception. Between 1990 and 2020, $7 to $9 million would be inherited by the baby boom generation, those born in the generation immediately following World War II, and almost all of that money is rooted in profits and accumulation by whites in real estate transactions conducted under strict apartheid racial oppression. As much as 43% of inheritance is transferred before the parent or grandparent dies. Half of all white families can give substantial Head Start assistance to their children, whereas only 1/5 of black parents can. Perhaps paying for their children's tuition enable their children to enter their working life without debilitating student loan debt. Blacks enter their working life as much lower pay and strapped with student debt. This affects their credit rating and thus their upward mobility in an economy that is entirely based on credit. It also causes them to put off marriage and start their families later than they desired. 1/4 of white families received an inheritance at the death of a parent, averaging $144,000, and opposed to only 1/20th of Black families averaging $42,000. Over their lifetimes, white inheritances are more than 7 times larger than Black inheritance. In a real sense, this inequality represents a direct measure of the cost of historical racism and how that racism benefits those land workers, whites, who claim that they had no part in Black oppression. And the complex tax laws on inheritance and capital gains are designed to protect those unearned intergenerational assets. I advance it, therefore, as a suspicion only that the blacks, whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time and circumstances, are inferior to the whites in the endowments, both of body and mind. Thomas Jefferson, founding father of America. Okay, going to page 115, titled Good Old Boy Network. It is estimated that 80 to 90% of private sector jobs are never openly advertised to the general public. And given that the private sector is a wholly owned domain of white people, this racially exclusive job notification system is proof that the good old boy network is used to keep blacks out of career-oriented private employment that might provide upward financial mobility. It is an informed social, cultural, religious, ethnic, alumni, professional, or political network that limits lucrative transactions to members of its own particular group, sometimes called kinship networks or secret societies, as the Freemasonry, the Good Old Boy Network, by its exclusion of blacks, reinforces the stereotype of blacks being suited only for specific manual tasks. Intrinsic to this white wealth creation strategy is the fundamental principle and obligation that money he circulated solely within that network for the enrichment and advancement for its own members, a concept that is denounced as racist, anti-American, and even hateful when advocated by black leaders. These obligatory agreements have been called covenants. Mm? When applied to real estate transactions, and they are more conspicuous in the entertainment industry. Listen now, where whites and Jews maintain total control over the finances. And in the black ghettos, where the residents are 100% black, but the significant businesses are nearly all white, Jewish, Asian, or Arabic controlled. Would America be American without its white people? No, it would be something better. The fulfillment of what we postpone by calling a, a dream. Grace Elizabeth Hale, Professor of History. Okay, page 116, titled Grandfather Clause. Wow. Grandfather clauses are loopholes often appended to legitimate sounding laws that serve to modify the effect of the laws to favor whites. For example, the late 19th century legislation was enacted to keep blacks from voting by making literacy and the ownership of property requirements for vote eligibility. But these laws exempt those whose ancestors in parentheses, grandfathers, had the right to vote before the Civil War. The obvious intent and effect of the clause were to prevent poor and illiterate ex-slaves and their descendants from voting without denying poor and illiterate whites the right to vote. Okay. Next section titled Government Sabotage, FBI COINTELPRO. From its very inception, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has taken hundreds of known disruptive actions against Black organizations, including the use of agent provocateurs, saboteurs, and wiretapping, and the planting of false rumors and disinformation. The FBI is also a prime suspect in the murders of key Black leaders and activists. The longtime leader of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, directed that a letter be sent to the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., pressuring him to commit suicide. The U.S. government letter was addressed to, all caps, in quotations, King, K-I-N-K. You know you are a colossal fraud and an evil, vicious one at that. You cannot believe in God, King. Like all frauds, your end is approaching, King. There is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is? You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is barred to the nation. Hoover, the top law enforcement official in America, was not deranged. Dr. King, with his Poor People's Campaign in support for the Memphis sanitation worker strike, was signaling an interest in pursuing an economic agenda for his people. This threatened to drastically alter the social economic condition of white America, which has always relied on Black economic helplessness and dependence. Indeed, any Black organization or movement that adopts an economic focus and encourages Black participation in manufacturing, trade, commerce, and finance is automatically seen as a threat to the established economic order. Nefarious activity by the U.S. government has only increased with the passage of the Patriot Act after the false flag event of September 11, 2001. For his dogged fidelity to white supremacist principles, Hoover is a true hero in the eyes of whites, and the building that today houses the FBI is named in his honor. The historical contempt that the white race held for the Negroes has created a group of, what is this? Rootless, degraded people. The, where did I stop at? The current neglect of the problem can only, okay, let me read that again. The current neglect of the problem can only irritate this deplorable state of affairs. The Black Muslims should constitute a warning to our society, a warning that must be heeded if we are to preserve the society. The road to freedom must be uphill, even if it is arduous and frustrating. A people must have dignity and identity. If they can't do it peacefully, they will do it defensively. Andrew Goodman, civil rights martyr. Okay, so that's the end of that. So yeah, we have the ACE of Diamonds, the Queen of Hearts. This is mother energy, devoted mother, divine feminine energy. And then I'm seeing the Eight of Hearts and then the Ten of Diamonds. So this is about the mother's, the matriarch, the return of the matriarch's power, the return of her wealth and inheritance, okay? And then at the bottom, I see the Queen of Clubs, which is high mental vibration, okay? Great intuition. Okay, the Queen of Clubs is a card of great intuition, good organizational ability, and the desire to serve and nurture others with some form of knowledge or information. Like the King of Clubs, she has much authority and power. However, her power comes more from the receptive side of her nature. She knows things. She knows things before they happen and operates on a high mental vibration. She can be high strung and impatient. When you get this card in your reading, it can bring success in any other communication fields. It can help you, it can help make you more receptive to your intuition and make you feel like serving others more. It is a successful card, but also present is the nurturing qualities of the mother, Ashe. So I'm going to close out with the reading from The Rainbow in the Cloud, the wisdom of spirit, the wisdom and spirit of Maya Angelou. Okay. What would you like to communicate, Maya Angelou, with the families? What would you like to communicate to the families? Okay. So, wow. So I turned to a picture of her with Malcolm X. And then it says, I guess the section is Black Identity. Okay, I'm going to read the next page. Oh, this is page 12. Wow, this is page 12. Okay. Although as Black people, we had a dignity and a love of life, those qualities had to be defended constantly. Although, wow, thank you, my Angela, for your wisdom and your spirit. Although there was always generosity in the Negro neighborhood, it was indulged on pain of sacrifice. Whatever was given by Black people to other Blacks was most probably needed as desperately by the donor as by the receiver, a fact which made the giving or receiving a rich exchange. Okay, I'm going to read the next page, 13. Black Americans of my generation didn't look kindly on public mournings except during or immediately after funerals. We were expected by others and by ourselves to lighten the burden by smiling, to deflect possible new assaults by laughter. Haven't it worked for us for centuries? Hadn't it? Black entertainers have had to be 10 times better than anyone else historically. Black women whose ancestors were brought to the United States beginning in 1619 have lived through conditions of cruelties so horrible, so bizarre, the women had to reinvent themselves. They had to find safety and sanctity inside themselves, or they would not have been able to tolerate such torture. They had to learn quickly to be self forgiving, for often their exterior actions were at odds with their interior beliefs. Ashe. Thank you, Maya Angelou, for that wisdom and your spirit. Much gratitude. Peace be upon you. And with that being said, peace.